Welcome to this Hoops and Dreams preview show, and my name's Bryan Fisher. In this episode, we'll be previewing Tuesday's Hull versus QPR evening fixture. As my usual sidekick George is sick, I'm joined by Matt. Get well quickly, George, and welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me back. Always welcome to step in whenever possible.
We're glad you did. I've been talking to myself otherwise. Um, Last week, Plymouth did very well to knock out Brentford out of the FA Cup in the third round. Possibly because of the absence of their ex-manager Rooney, I don't know. Anyway, they appointed Bruges' Miron Muslic. His first game in charge was on Tuesday against Oxford, which was also at home, and they drew 1-1. So we did sort of wonder whether this was the start of a miracle for the Pilgrims. Given the R's have not won there in 22 years, you just had to wonder. In the last Hoops and Dreams QPR Preview podcast, both Dave and James predicted a draw against the Pilgrims, as I did too, in all fairness. In the end, it was Plymouth 0, QPR 1. Now, Marty fielded what looked to be his strongest side, even if Fox started over JCS alongside Edwards. But we have not won there in 22 years, so you did wonder. The match was really scrappy, it has to be said, with lots of head tennis, poor passes, and poor finishing on our side, at least. But a win is a win, Matt.
Yes, at the end of the day, yes. Yeah, you're right in saying it was a very scrappy first half. I felt we had control for most parts in that first half, but overall it was quite scrappy. And then that second half we took major control. We had like many chances where we could have made it 2-3-0, but we managed to get the goal in the end. And yeah, Coley, our new star boy, getting the goal. He's signed a new contract the day before and getting the winner. So yeah, all day round, it was a great day in the end.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. Great way to celebrate your new contract. Wish more of them would do it. Uh,
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was really concerned in that first opening 20 minutes because we were that scrappy. And maybe it's a result of nerves on both sides, who knows? But Frey must have really hated their goalie, Grimshaw. No matter what he did, Grimshaw always seemed to be there with a hand, leg, or anything else he could find. However, we did see QPR become more dominant, as you say, and half chances followed, eventually leading to Coley's well-taken goal. I mean, selfishly, I want Plymouth to survive in the Championship as my daughter lives locally to there, and I'm hoping that next season to make a real trip of it. Anyway, coming back to the away game for the R's against the Pilgrims, what did you like and dislike about our team performance, Matt?
I think the most thing I disliked was she not being clinical. For most parts, yeah, Fry had two massive chances before we scored. I mean, both close range, both he shouldn't really give a goalkeeper a chance, really. Um, and then, towards the end where Sam Field had that clear-cut chance where he should have scored and that should have killed the game off. It would have saved us, the pressure at the end where Plymouth trying to get the equaliser. So I think we need to be more clinical, especially in games like this where we just need to put the game to bed. Um, what I liked is we stay strong defensively. I thought Edwards and Fox did very well at the back. Jimmy Dunn continuing his good form at the back as well. And yeah, pretty solid for most parts, our defence. So yeah, great clean sheet as well. And yeah, it's always a tough place to go. 22 years, like you said, been a
It's
long time
unbelievable.
since you won there. So yeah, it was great to see.
Yeah, you mentioned there about the goal scoring or the lack of goal scoring. Do you think that might be a problem at the end of, as we get towards the end of the season, perhaps where goal difference comes into its own?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, we're aside for the confidence now. We're now in the top half, and we want to try and get high at the table as much as we can. So goal difference can affect, placings in the table. So there's no doubt we create loads of chances. It's just at times in games we're just not being clinical enough. And luckily enough, Marty done the right change of bringing Coley on for Fry, and first chance he had, he put it away. So great work by Marty to notice that straight away, and and with Coley, he's probably our best finisher at the club at the moment. The way his season is panning out. So yeah, credit to Marty for doing that in the second half, but yeah, others need to pitch in. Fry's been doing well recently. I know he had a bad game at Plymouth, but he's been doing well in recent games, and just others needs to pitch in, attacking wise. So that needs that needs to be happening next couple of games.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say that when Marty's looking at starting, he's looking at Frey to get in amongst the centre backs and muscle them around. Whereas when he gets to a certain stage of the game, he probably thinks that Coley's just the right person to zoom past him and as you say, finish clinically. So yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so your player of the match, Matt, and why?
Oh, it's a tricky one. Um, yeah, I thought Edwards had a really good game, but there wasn't much in the game in terms of, it wasn't a free flowing sort of game. It was a scrappy game for most parts. So I'm going to give it to Coley because I thought when he came on, he impressed so much. He not just scored the goal, he held the ball up well. He was a real target man for us up front, and he really changed the game for us towards the end. So I'd definitely give it to Coley.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting because yeah, I had down on my list Nardi because quite frankly he just kept us in it, um, but didn't do a great amount, I suppose, other than fluff it up once. But Morgan, I was the real one I was going to mention. Morgan's been just fantastic. I'm really, really impressed with him. Had a really fine game. But my vote for player of the match would go to Jimmy Dunn because yet again this was yet another one of his fantastic performances. His last ditch header to stop a goal was just
Yeah,
fantastic. I Well, my hat goes off to him if I was wearing one. Okay, um, this win against Plymouth leaves QPR sitting in 12th place in the table with 35 points. Now, the last time you were on the podcast, Matt, we were bottom.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
table. So, a bit different from November, Matt?
Yeah, maybe, after this one, I might not appear for the next couple of months. So, so the good form continues, So yeah, what a change. I mean, wasn't expecting this at all. I think I was one of the many QPR fans that wanted to stick with Marty. I think as we look at it now, in hindsight, I think it was the new players not gelling in with the team that was already there. And I think what Marty has done, because he's been so pragmatic in what he does, he's gone back to our ways last season. Okay, we're not pretty to watch at times, but we're grinding out these wins, and they've been very impressive to watch. And at times we have played our football. I mean, I've seen great improvements in Smith and Morgan. He's getting involved in a lot more. Sam Field, Jimmy Dunn. Those are just a number of players that are just impressing every single week and given 8, 9 out of 10s every single game. So massive credit to the team, and we're just for the confidence at the moment. Every fan saying, 6 points from the playoffs. I mean, obviously, we're teams for the confidence. They just want to keep playing every single game, and now we've got a style of play that we know what we're doing on the day, and we shouldn't be scared of the opposition. Luton, they were a team with good players from last season in the Premier League. We didn't care. We didn't fear them, and we beat them on the day. So same
Same
as Plymouth, QPR in the past, we went, oh no, Plymouth bottom of the league. QPR of old, we think that we're going to slip up against them. The change in mentality is different under Marty. So credit to the manager and the team. So fantastic.
Yeah, these are really good points. I mean, I think there had to be a certain point where suddenly everybody clicked in terms of what he really wanted to do. And given the fact that you're talking about so much close passing between various players, if one of the three that is involved in the triangles doesn't really understand what they're doing or doesn't make space for themselves, then you're going to have trouble.
Yeah,
Certainly, it has clicked. It's virtually the same people, plus those who are coming back off sick, who are making something worthwhile out of this. The transformation has been incredible. I know that James was saying to me that it would be a good idea not to have you on again until later on when we're make sure we're top six. Let's hope that let's hope it
Yeah,
works.
I'll be expecting that email by April, May, so I'll be there for that.
All right, fingers crossed on that one. Right, let's move on to our preview match, which is the championship clash between Hull and QPR on Tuesday evening. Hull's results have been mixed recently, including a worthy 3-3 draw with Leeds, but an equally disappointing FA Cup exit, courtesy of League Two Doncaster Rovers. Now, we know all about exits. Um, they sit near the bottom of the championship, and QPR, in contrast, sit mid-table with largely wins or draws recently. Two interesting stats, courtesy of our James. Only five teams have lost less than QPR's 8 games this season, and QPR have now won 3 games in a row, a first this season. But if we win against Hull, those 4 wins in a row hasn't been seen since January 22. That's just incredible. That's when we've last had a decent run. Anyway, Hull's top scorer on 5 goals is João Pedro, followed by Chris Bedia. Whilst the R's top scorers, well, the top scorer is still Frey on 5, closely followed by Dunn and now Mr. Coley on 4. Just in case you're getting complacent, in early October, we met Hull at Loftus Road and lost 3-1. Those of you who are getting too excited by all this mid-table height. Head to head since 2021, we've met 7 times in all competitions, with Hull and QPR both winning 3 times and 1 draw. So all pretty even, quite honestly. As usual, we'll be making our predictions at the end of the podcast, Matt. But do you think this will be a close run match, or do you think, as others do, that we should be pretty optimistic?
It would definitely be closer than the Plymouth one. Hull have picked up a few results recently under Ruben Selles. What he's done, he's come in, and he's changed their way of football. They've gone more attacking, and they seem to fear no opposition. I remember seeing the highlights of the Leeds game. They were 3-1 down, and they managed to get a point from that. So they seem to have great character in their team, and they won at Millwall this weekend. So there will be a threat. João Pedro, he's definitely a goal hunter. So we've got to be wary of him on Tuesday. And yeah, it'll definitely be a lot tighter. Last season, I was there last season's game. We lost 3-0, and they were a different team from last season. They had loads of loans last season, but this
Mm.
team, they changed their manager this season. Now they're trying to readjust. But now that they're at the relegation zone, they are going to be for the confidence. So we've got to be wary of that and not trying to be complacent. And I watched Marty's interview after the Plymouth game, saying that we've got to stay humble. We can't get too excited about the one we're on at the moment. So that's what we've got to do. We've just got to try and stick to what we've been doing. And if we are, then I think we've got enough quality in the team to get another win. If it's not a win, then I'll take a draw. So yeah, I'll be okay with both the results, but we've got to be wary of their threat. That's all.
Okay, yeah, no, it's fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Joe Geldhard is probably somebody that now they signed him. A bit of an unknown quantity as to how he'll fit in with Hull, but he's certainly one I'd be very wary of. Well, let's just, as we say, fingers crossed. We're ready on Tuesday. Um, and you're right to mention about Millwall winning to them. It was an own goal, but it was down to pressure. So we all know about that. Um, And I say Hull are hovering just above the relegation zone, Matt. So should we regard this as another game that we really should win? I mean, is that what people will be saying?
Definitely, yeah, especially after beating Plymouth this weekend. I think before the fixtures were played, I think most fans seen this as like, okay, there's this opportunity to get 6 points. Um, and if we, for example, if we don't win this game, then we'll be disappointed. So yeah, a lot of fans will be thinking we've got to try and win here now. Now we won at Plymouth, who are also down there. You sort of think it's to be the same mindset for this one. So Yeah, definitely looking to try and win this one as well. And if we can win this one, then it sort of puts a different picture on how our season's going to go. So, um, yeah, it definitely changes the mindset of where the fans are going to be come the last, 18, 17 games left of the season. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Dembele, Cook, and Morrison are still, well, they're finally working themselves back into full fitness. So they're unavailable, but Marty does have a reasonable number in the squad to choose from now. Um,
yeah,
if it were me, I'd go for a back four of Dunn, JCS, Fox, and Parle. Resting Edwards for this one, I think, with a midfield of Colback, Varane, and Field, again resting Morgan, because Morgan's done fantastic up to now. You don't want him burning out. And up front, I'd still go with Smith, Frey, and Chair, I think. Do you see Jake Clark-Salter replacing Fox perhaps? And what about Coley starting perhaps instead of Frey? Or even Sato instead of Smith?
that's the thing. Yeah, we're sort of guessing on who the line is, who the lineup's going to be, but at the end of the day, we got depth in the squad. So the subs we brought on against Plymouth, we brought on Colback, we brought on Sato, we brought on Alfie Lloyd. So we got options on the bench now, which was not the case about 2, 3 months ago. So Marty has the luxury of changing it when we need to. So and it's plus experience on the bench as well. So. Um, with Clark Salter, it's always hard to know what his fitness is like. We see him on the bench, but when he doesn't come on, that means he's not ready yet. So um, I'm not sure about this one in midweek. Maybe resting for this one, um, and then start him against Sheffield Wednesday on the Saturday. So um, yeah, I just think with Clark Salt at the moment, because he hasn't had a full game in ages, I think we just got to try and take his time with him. And he's a massive player when he's in the team. So and especially waiting for the likes of Cook and Dembele coming back, there's more depth coming through. So once they're back, then that's more options to have, which is great. So I wouldn't change too much of the team. I think we've got to have legs in the midfield, especially. Every time I watch Hull, the stadium and the pitch looks absolutely massive. So we need to try and have legs in midfield to try and get around the pitch. So that's what we need. We need energy and legs in midfield to try and keep up the pace in midfield, and hopefully we can try and control the game like we did in most parts against Plymouth. So yeah, hoping for the same.
Yep, that makes it, yeah. So definitely there, more of the same. I actually prefer a bit more scoring, but there we go. Um, last
Me too.
Monday, um, you went along with other representatives of various fan sites to listen to Christian Nourry's latest Meet the Fans well meeting, I suppose. So the chance to get another update from him. This second forum didn't have the same razzmatazz as the first, by all accounts, with only a mention of Ronnie Edwards' arrival on loan. But it did have some interesting nuggets, some of which I picked out for us to go over during the podcast. Responding to questions about the spate of long-term injuries to key players and the remote working of the director for performance, I think it's performance, Christian Nourry stated that those injuries made this the worst season in the last 5 years. And they were making the best of it by having to use remote working and examining whether certain rules on the pitch needed additional cover. Certain roles, I should say, not rules. Certain roles on the pitch needed additional cover. Um, and this was something they need to think about for the future to compensate for the above average exposure to injuries in certain areas. I think he must be talking about, I assume he's talking about centre backs and striker. I don't know, but I assume that's what he's on about. Would that be the case?
Yeah, I mean, he spoke quite openly about possibly changing the training schedule like massively because yeah, like you've been saying, it's been the worst season in ages since we had these amount of injuries, and it seems to be, especially like Clark Salter recently, he plays one game and he's out again with a muscle injury. It seems to be that easy, and he had sort of discussions with because we now have a new pitch at Loftus Road now for for the season. It might be the effects of that, and
Could be.
it's sort of trying looking at the data. Norrie's about the data. He's a data man, so he sort of wants to examine all of that to try and get to the depths of it. So, but yeah, he wants to change the training schedule massively to try and see if it can change the theme of injuries recently. And I completely agree. We need to try and look into that because big players are missing out with these injuries for weeks. So, and we're going to need them towards the end of the season. So, um, yeah, I hope that's the case in weeks to come.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm sort of pleased in a way that the club is fully aware, as much as the fans are, of how much concern there is over this, and they are looking to sort of future-proof this. Let's hope it works, whatever it is they end up doing. Um, you, as our rep, I know, asked one question that came up on our forum, which was with regard to food pop-ups. Or American style stadium type cellars with trays of goodies to supplement the existing catering arrangements, and they did agree that this would be examined. I know they said there were a few oppositions about this, but I've been a long-term critic of the standard of catering available at Loftus Road, and this suggestion from the Hoops and Dreams Forum did cause worries for them, I think, really in relation to congestion. I think the people from, he said, from operations and commercial were worried about this. But surely the existing dire level of catering has to be improved, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it can't be all inside the ground. I think there's got to be more options outside the ground. Um, you have the odd burger van outside the pub, and then there's one round the other side as well. So there's only sort of two or three I sort of know about outside, but
Hmm.
I completely agree. I mean, I sit in lower loft, and especially before the game and straight after half time, you literally can't move, especially when it's hot summer's day and it's a full house at Loftus Road. It's impossible to try and even queue up rather than just get there yourself. And it's only a short break half time, so once you get in the queue, you have to wait, and then by the time you get served, the second half's already started, and you get anxiety because you don't want to miss any of the games. So there's got to be more options where fans can actually try and spread around and have the option to try and get something, whether it can just be a quick drink or just a quick snack, just to keep them going during the day. And because the option's not really there often enough, then that's not really the case. So thankfully, Norrie was upbeat about that, and hopefully he sticks to his plan of speaking to the council and sort of keeping tabs with them with the case, and hopefully that can be put forward soon. So yeah, I completely agree.
Good. Yeah, I think would do a lot of them a lot of good to come and sit in the different stadium terraces and see what they think about it from our perspective, how bad it really is. Anyway, Christian Nourry went on to state that there are no plans to remove the existing ticketing price structure, where, for example, children pay a reduced rate for their seat. Apparently, there were fears amongst some of the QPR fans that we would follow Premier League clubs in doing this, which really does seem a negative move to me, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want us to be copying sort of the London sides, and most of the London sides are in the Premier League. So, and recently Fulham with their new stand, they put their prices up. So, um, we just got to try and he was adamant to keeping to a price range where it can be affordable to everyone, even
Mm.
children. So um and he made the case of with the stall end of just making it just one stand for the away end for the away fans, not the whole stand. So it helps with the cost off for the club, and it gives more options for fans to come in. So I'm glad he done that. I think we shouldn't always respect the away fans to having both tiers. I think we should have more fans in the stadium as much as possible. So I agree on that part. And yeah, children shouldn't be, you know, you should have to pay a lot for a child to come to watch a match. I think there should be the least amount of people to come in with the shortest price, and and it should be affordable every single time. So hopefully that stays the same for many years to come.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you look upon the children coming in as the future fans, for the rest of their life, come on, it's a good investment, I would have thought.
100%, 100%.
Okay, on to another topic. Whilst the club has been more than open about injuries to players, there are no plans to do the same with contracts. And Nouri stated that keeping those details confidential was in the best interest of the club. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yeah, I think he was open and honest for most parts, but he didn't want to go into
No.
um, some of the personal issues why they wasn't signing soon enough. Um, it came to Coley now signed his contract, but there was a few fears that he wasn't going to sign it. I think to family relations on what the future was for him. So he sort of hinted at that, and he didn't want to go any further in that situation. But most of the people in the room, including me, were desperate for him to sign because we think Cody's such a gem of a player. So luckily, he has done now, and recently Morgan and Lloyd, who are again two bright talents in our squad, they have signed as well. So there's still a few more players that need to sign, big crucial members of the squad, such as Powell and Jimmy as well. So they need to sign soon as well. So hopefully that's the case soon. Um, so yeah, that's what we all hope for. Yeah, that's what we hope for.
Yeah, funny you should mention Kieran Morgan, because one final snippet I was going to put in, which I think is really a nice one. Our scouts have got a short video clip on their phones to show talented young players just before they try and sign them up. It has club endorsements from Raheem Sterling, Kieran Morgan's dad, and even from the family of a lad who actually didn't even make it. But he was fully praising or the family was fully praising the academy. Do you think this is a nice touch, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think what I give credit to the club for is that we're giving these young players a chance. Even Eze, he left Millwall when he was young. He came to QPR and basically the club took him in with open arms, and the way he's developed in his career is absolutely shone. So with Kieran Morgan, he has that potential to do that. Sterling has a massive career as well. So Kieran Morgan sort of and Coley as well. I put that into that bracket as well. He's been here since 8 years old. So Lloyd as he had a few loans, Lloyd, but he stayed in the club and he loved the club as well. So with the youngsters involved, I think you can see they really care for the club. They want to stay as long as they can. They're very keen to develop. They don't want to start every single week. They're keen. They don't mind staying on the bench for having a few minutes here and there every game. They can take their time and they're not being big headed. They're staying humble, and that's the main thing. So yeah, all good to see. All good to see.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a really, really nice touch. It would impress me if I was the dad of a lad who got that and saw the video. Anyway, finally, before we end, it's prediction time. What is your prediction for Tuesday's match against Hull, Matt?
Well, I on the forum I put 1-0 us against Plymouth, so I was right. Thankfully. Um, this would be a tricky one though. I'm gonna go 1-1 this time. Yeah, I think because like it's another long trip in midweek to Hull. It's such a short space of time to travel. I reckon he will make a few changes, so the flow won't be the same on Saturday, and yeah, Plymouth are weaker opposition and Hull have improved in recent weeks, especially at home as well. So they will be stronger. They will have much of a goal threat. So yeah, and I think a draw wouldn't be such a bad result. And I'll fancy us against Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday because we've been doing really well at home. So get a point on Tuesday, I'll be happy. But if we get all three, then yeah, then we'll be absolutely buzzing. So I'm going with a draw.
Okay. Both sides won their last match, albeit luckily for Hull. But we're away for this clash. Um, I've got to remain positive though, and I'm going to go for a win for the R's, possibly another scary 1-0. Anyway, our time is up, so can I end by saying that the next preview show with Dave and James will be the Championship clash at home against Sheffield Wednesday. I'm committed on that day, unfortunately, to do community work, nothing to do with community service for criminal reasons. Um, but I hope that those attending will make Loftus Road shake with the noise. Many thanks for watching, and also thanks to Matt for his insightful comments and standing in at the last second.
No
And from the
problem.
Hoops and Dreams team, as well as Matt and myself, it is, as always, come on, you R's.